Hey, testing. Can you hear me? Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Thanks. Okay, let's see what we get. We're gonna kind of chill a little bit today, see what direction the market gives us before we take any positions. So right now we're focused on this kind of gap fill, but really golden rule of 66.77 being tested during the cash hours. So really looking to see if we can get below 66.91 to take a short setup. I'll probably take it with futures instead of options. If you're in the Discord, you saw I took a SPX option trade pre-market. Not going to take an options trade right now given the premiums, but going to see what we can get. It's a little shaky right now. Given the early market volatility. So we'll just kind of chill and see what we get. You can kind of see what I'm watching right now. PDYN, I took a little stab here and got a quick stop. If it reclaims 1045, I'll add back. We're seeing some weakness. Okay, I think this is going to set up for a downside move. Okay, I went short ES right there. Gonna set a stop right up here. This should start failing here. You can see VIX picking up a little bit, right? So this should be a pretty good trade. VIX is really heating up. I'm gonna wait, right? I can get a lot more from this trade, especially with where VIX is at. I'm gonna move my stop a little closer since I have some wiggle room, and then we will see what we get. But I expect severe market weakness down to at least 66.80 on SPX. CoreWeave here is a good spot to add. My attention's a little diverted here on ES. I want to see if we can get my full move down to 66.77 and potentially 71. I would like to scale out a little bit soon so I can not focus so much on this because CoreWeave here is actually a really nice spot to add. But I want to see if the market can get a little softer down to my target. We can see it's moving pretty quick. I want to take a look at premiums, but I'm kind of hesitant to take my eye off ES right now. I want to at least scale out a little bit before I take my eye off. 85 is a good level on SPX. Move my stop up now just because 91 is a big level for SPX. right? So if 91 holds, which it should, then this trade should be still valid. Okay, got stopped out there. Now let me move my attention over. I think CoreWeave is setting up pretty nice. That's a good spot to add. It's not ideal given some of the expected market weakness I'm looking for, but CoreWeave here is actually a really good spot. You can see that level held perfectly. Open Door is also one I've been eyeing. So let's take a look. I think Circle, I'm going to try with some shares here. Might give it a second. Let's just see where this shakes out. Let's pull up tick. Okay, PDYN is reclaiming 1045, which is actually quite bullish. We know that the robotics, the AI, the space names have all done quite well. And so PDYN is setting up pretty well on the daily, right? It's breaking out. Really, really good chart there. SPX is holding 91, which is a really key level. That is good so far. I want to give some time for this to digest before I take a trade here. But really like PDYN if it can reclaim here. ACHR is another one I've been watching, right? You can see 1371 is key. If it can come back to retest, that's also a really good one. And then Circle looking above 138. Open Door here is also quite interesting. It was on my watch yesterday. I traded it yesterday, and I'm kind of eager to get back in. VIX is now coming down. I still think we push down, so I'm going to wait. Just be patient. I'm not going to force a trade here on anything risky. I think open is actually quite good here. Pretty good breadth out the gate. Let's just give it a little bit more time. Okay. I'm going to add open. It's a little, it might be a little early, but given some of the strength we're seeing in the market and what I know is going on under the hood with open, I feel pretty good about adding here. Let's just see what SPX does with 6,700. And then we'll try and find a good SPX option trade. Let's take a quick look at premiums. We can see premiums are kind of jumping back and forth. We can see calls are spiking here, which is quite bullish, but we know key level at SPX. So let's see what we do with 6,700. 6,704 is a good short if you are inclined to short this market. Oscar here is not bad too. Yeah, tick breadth is improving. 6704 here. So let's see what we get. We know that 6704 or 6713 are pretty tough levels to get through. So expect at least a little sell here. We can totally push through. So I'm going to try and be as patient as possible while we wait for that to set up. So you can see we're getting some resistance here at 67.04. I'm going to take a little bit of an opportunistic short on using futures here. So I'm taking 10 MES short here. I'm going to set a pretty tight stop. Basically, I'm just looking for 67.04 to fail. That is all I'm looking for. And if it recovers, then the trade's off. So pretty tight stop on this one, right? 3-point stop. Wow. Okay, so pushing through 6,700. If it fit, let's see if it can fail down. But market is quite strong. I'm going to add open here. I added 7,000 shares of open. I got filled at 748. NVTS. Wow, what a monster. You know, I exited my position yesterday. Obviously, in hindsight, that was not the move, but yeah, pretty strong name and good for anybody who held. Oscar here is also pretty interesting. It's a name I was trying to trade yesterday, but it was too risky. I just don't feel great about the market, and I might be kind of foolishly sitting out and missing out on some returns. But I just want to see how we close today. I want to see some additional strength. I don't really buy it yet, so to speak. But, you know, because I'm being a little risk averse, that means that I can be forced out and not be able to get into some names, but that's okay. It's something I'm willing to sit and wait on. So above 67.04, pretty good. 67.13 is another big spot. VIX is coming down. 1933 is key. Until we break below 1933, I'm not inclined to believe in this upside move. But again, that's something I'm willing to miss out on if the market continues to move higher. Okay, coming back down. Let's see what premiums look like. Puts are still pretty high. So let's see if we fail down 67.04. I might try and short this again. I'm doing it with futures because it's in my head. I mean, I shouldn't look at it this way, but it's kind of funny money. If I want to get into a more serious trade, I'll take it with SPX options. So 67.04 was just a back test and hold. Circle's looking really interesting here. And then CoreWeave, yeah, pumping from that really perfect dip buy opportunity there if you took it. If you guys want to have questions about any specific charts, let me know. Okay, Circle now is triggering for me. Let me take a look at the daily here. We can see it's pushing through, but we got the EMAs right above. So I'm going to set an alert there. Right, so with breakout trading, never buy the first candle. Want to see how it closes. It forces you potentially to miss out on the trade, but usually the best trade is buying a back test. Right, so Oscar is actually a really good example. I'm going to add Oscar shares here. I'm not trading as many options right now because I just am not super inclined to believe in some of these moves. But again, that is something that I'll have to sit with if I'm wrong. Okay, so I added 3,500 shares of Oscar. And then for Oscar, I'm going to set a stop loss at 2040. I'm going to keep it pretty tight. I'm going to do 2035. And then you can see with Circle, right, it failed that first test, so we'll kind of chill, wait to see what happens. Let's take a look at premiums. Premiums look more bullish than bearish, so not really inclined to short right now. Just going to continue to watch and see what we get. If I do see any weakness, I am going to short. I know, given what I reviewed this morning, I know given what I reviewed this morning, 67.13 will be a pretty tough level to get through. LDI just triggered for me. This one looks actually really, really good. This 323 level is really, really critical. Okay, VIX at 1933, it's going to bounce, which will provide some weakness on SPX. You can see it's slightly bouncing there. So we'll see if it continues to move. So for now, we're just chilling, right? We're waiting to see how our levels hit. Circle is now pushing through 138. Let's see if it can continue going. I'm going to take a look at premiums because this one might be not bad for options. I do prefer shares right now, just generally speaking, but let's see what we can get with Circle. Yeah, IV is like 100%. This one's a really, really tough name to trade options with. CoreWeave, right? I didn't buy this bounce, but this bounce provided a pretty good entry. Premiums are still quite bullish. Let's see what we get with 67.13. If we can get some rejection there, we should see VIX bounce here. But if it slices through, this is going to keep going up. Okay, Guild just triggered for me. Let's check it out. Right, so Guild has this nice breakout. Space is really hot. I think the best spot to add would be these prior day highs. So I'm going to set another alert here, but this one's also a good one that I'm watching now, and definitely has a lot of potential. Okay, so now here we got to see what happens with SPX. We know that these are big levels. Market is really strong. Okay, Circle, I can't keep ignoring it. If we look on the daily with Circle, the chart is not right. It saw some extreme weakness of this failed breakout here of 152. And we're right at the EMAs. So we got to see what we can get, if it can push through, probably get some weakness there. And then 67.18. $67.18 on SPX will cause some downside pressure, guaranteed. So I'll take a smaller short there. Again, with futures, Market is really strong, really, really strong. Oscar ad is doing well so far. Let's see if it can continue. I'm not going to add anything else. I want to see what we should get a pretty stark reaction here at 67.18. So a couple options for trading this, right? You either just automatically short here, look for a little dip, see if it can sustain and push through 67.13. Or, it bounces from 67.13 and provides a decent long opportunity. VIX is dying here. Market is ripping. Wow, that's really incredible. Again, not in any position here. I'm going to assume we're going to fill down, so I'm taking another opportunistic short. Smaller size because I don't want to burn too much money on this. But it's a good setup, right, to drop down to 67.13. And then LDI here is holding up quite well. It's the same theme with open. VIX continues to die. SPX just wants higher. But I know key levels, like it needs to take a little bit of a rest, which I expect it will soon. But man, it is kicking. Okay, let me take a look at premiums. Premiums are really strong still. I'm going to add just a little bit here. Set a stop. Okay, and then circles approaching the EMAs right here. This can continue to pump, but I'm just going to see the reaction. Wow. Wow. Okay, I'm in 6,700 puts here or 740. These are small size and risky. So this is a real trade, right? This is a real trade. And then I'm going to make sure to set a stop loss on this. I'm really, given the market so strong, I'm going to set a pretty tight stop at 590. Okay, and I'm actually going to take one more short on ES. The reason I'm shorting 722 big level, 718 big level, we just kind of sliced through. Um, Market is strong, right? So shorting here obviously is not without risk. So far working out okay. $713 is the target. So VIX is weak. Really just playing this level trade here. If we look at premiums, we can see that puts are dying a little bit. This is SpyNet put premium, right? We can see it's fading. So let's see, market is definitely very strong. Shorting here, obviously a bit risky. You can see circles stalling here where the EMAs are at, which we talked about earlier. Starting to get some broader market weakness. Going to set a quick alert on LDI there because I want to focus back on tick so we can see how strong the buying or selling programs are. Trevor, I just saw your comment. Thank you. I like seeing 8 because I can check out my watch list. I can see everything that's kind of going on. So 713, right, is the target to start scaling out. 718 failing is good. We should get a bounce at 6713. But now we got to see if 6718 is holding, right? So that's actually pretty bullish, but looks like it's going to fold. We just need VIX to pick up a little bit. As long as Oscar can hold this 2050 level, feel fine with it. Market pretty strong, continues to show some resilience. But let's get the sell that I'm looking for, and we can move on. Really want to see a retest of 6713. My golden rule says we actually need to go lower, but market is just way too intense right now. CoreWeave right around highs of day, which is something that would get me a little bit more interested to buy in. In hindsight, wish I added here when I was looking at it, but can't go back in time. So let's see, right? Our short's working out, 718, providing support. This is a big spot here, this 18 to 22 level. IWM really, really strong. This is very bullish, just generally this IWM breakout, right? And so that's why it's a little tough shorting here. But we know the important levels. So let's see if 722 continues to hold as suppressive to the market. We should get this 718 level to fail at some point, but 718 is a very, very strong level. All right, so VIX is holding up. Let's take a quick look at flows. You can see puts are now curling up, calls are curling down. This should get a pretty good move for us. Our puts are up 20%. Again, 713 is a good spot to scale out a little bit. Circle holding this key 138 level. And then for this futures trade, I'm just going to make sure I set my stop at break even. Maybe just a touch in profit. All right, so now we got to wait and see, right? Market is very strong. IWM leading big breakout in small caps. So far, we only added and held Open Door and Oscar. We're in SPX 6,700 puts for $7.40. Was it $7.40? Reclaiming 18. So 18 is really key. This might not break down, right? 18 is holding. Premiums still are looking quite more on the bearish side, at least trending that way. So let's see if we can get some continued downside pressure. I may be wrong, but I'm inclined to say all of this is a bull trap. But it's hard, right? Market is really strong. So It's one thing to not swing and like just protect capital. It's another thing to oversize on shorts and just get creamed, you know? So we'll just kind of wait. Gotta wait and see, wait and see. Yeah, Trevor, but it's hard, right? Like you don't want to be the dumb bear who's short this market and just gets creamed while everybody else is making money. It just hurts your psychology quite a bit. So I'm not swinging puts, taking puts throughout the day, seeing if we can get anything. But market is definitely super strong. All right, so you can see tick is now moving down a little bit. We see more selling, like that's a more selling than buying. But 718 is holding on SPX, which is pretty critical. Now calls are starting to curl up a little bit. So let's see. 718 is key. Maybe they hold it. If we reclaim it here and get above 722, I'm just going to force stop out of my SPX puts. Probably get stopped out of futures here. Okay, so I got stopped out there, just a little bit of profit. Google just triggered for me. Google looks really good. Wow. Let's see if it can push through here. VIX is dying. 718 held. This is definitely bullish. Let's see if SPX can push through 722. And Circle's acting really well. Really well. Let's see if Bitcoin's catching a bid. Yeah, right around this key 112 level. I'm going to add Circle here. And take a quick look. Yeah, it's above the EMAs. It could fail back down. Let's see what SPX does here at 722. But Circle, I'm going to add it here. Getting filled at 140, 60. All right, so I'm in Circle. Let's see if Bitcoin can push through 112. That is the key level there. Premiums are turning bearish now. So this is why futures trading is a little trickier, right? With options, you have a lot more wiggle room, but with futures, less so. If 718 fails again, I will reshort it. All right, so Circle, I'm not going to watch it too heavily now that I'm in. Just set an alert if it fails down. And actually, before I forget, going to set a stop loss. For Circle, my stop loss will be 137.41, around there. I'll do 137 on the dot. So far, heavily in Oscar, Open, and Circle. Just shares, not really trading options right now. The only options trade I'm really in is DLO and then those SPX puts. Trying to see if I can get a sense of the market. I mean, price action is very strong. We have market tide very strong, but I know 722 is a big level. Like the chances we get much higher, in my opinion, is low at this point. But the longer we can hold 718, the better it is for bulls to build some momentum to the upside. So again, if we break through 722 on SPX, then I'll close my SPX puts. Hold on one second. Okay, I'm here. Let's see what we get with SPX. Is kind of basing and building a flag, not necessarily a reason to be aggressively long, but also definitely not a reason to add to shorts. With my SPX puts, just see what we get. Just going to continue watching it. Circle ad so far is working quite well. Can kind of show positions here. So Oscar ad a little bit underwater, Open working well, Circle doing okay. Okay, all right. I'm gonna add to my shorts here. Keep a tight stop. Keep it a bit tighter. Honestly, like I'm gonna keep it within a pretty tight range because if this doesn't fail, right, it's just gonna bounce up and reclaim. Wow. And that's why I don't trade futures that much. Options much more forgiving, right? This looked like it was failing below 18. It pushed through. Market continues to show some strength, but let's see if we can drop below. You can see puts are starting to dive down too, which may be setting up for a move to the upside, especially as 718 continues to hold. VIX is dropping down quite a bit. The puts are doing okay. I mean, they're down 10%, but in 0DT at SPX options land, that's not an issue. So make one more test at 722. Maybe it's able to push through. Google continues to trigger for me. This looks good. I'm not going to chase it here, but Google looks really good if you're into that name. One definitely to keep an eye on. LDI, you can see how important that 323 level was. It failed there. Market continues shows a lot of strength, but there's a lot of macro risk right now with the tariff stuff in China. So it's hard to, I don't know. Personally, I'd rather not make money and not lose money than try and make money and lose money taking aggressive swings. So options are near break even. Let's see if 718 can fail now. IWM is really strong, right? This is a pretty big breakout, all-time highs, a lot of breadth under the hood, especially driven by small caps, right? If we look at RSP is doing pretty good too, recovering from Friday's sell-off. Take a look at premiums. They're starting to turn a little bit more bearish again. I'm going to probably get burned on this. So when I trade futures, right, not let's see if this one fails for sure or not. Again, I'm going to set a tight stop. Yeah, futures, can't trade futures. Options much better. Stops are too tight. All right, so let's forget about futures. I'm gonna get this out of my screen. Let's just take a look, see what we get. This should fail here at 718, right? So we're continuing to get this weakness on 718. This is going. I'm pretty high conviction here that this is going to fail. All right, so this should continue to fail, especially under 718, right? We're going to continue to get this. We're going to retest 713. VIX needs to pop through 1933 in order for this to short to make any money. AMSC looks really good here. Let me show you the daily so you can see why AMSC is a good looking name, good looking chart. You can see it's breaking out, peaking above this level. As long as it holds 65.90, AMSC is a really strong name. Had some good option flow last week. You can kind of see on the weekly, it continues to make new breakouts, new breakouts, new breakouts. If we take a look at premiums, Market Tide is saying, hey, there's a lot of bullishness, but mega caps are definitely going to sway that. When you look at SPX SPY, you can see calls are curling down, puts are curling up. Still not super bearish, but as long as we can stuff 718, the put should work out okay. So we're just going to chill, wait, see what we get. NVTS, what a monster. Wow. What a monster. Look at that weekly breakout. That is insane. Insane. Shame on me for taking profit yesterday. All right, so we're in the 6,700 puts at 740. They are at break even right now, right? The longer this takes to move down, the worse theta is going to get us. But so far, I don't hate this. 722, good failure there. 718, good failure there. Need a breakthrough, push through 713, and we want to see if we can get some confirmation here, right? So calls are coming down. This should move. So my target to sell half my puts is 704. Do we get it? I think so. All right, I'm just gonna poke through watch list while we wait for SPX to make its move. I'll kind of pop this over here. So far, very happy with the open ad. WMB, nice breakout there. AMD, wow, 8%. Insane. Honeywell has been a tougher name for me to trade, but yesterday's candle is quite impressive. If it can hold this and reclaim those EMAs, it can make a move higher. It looks like it's setting up. It looks like it did bottom. I'm going to set an alert there while I watch it. We can see SPX is making its move. That's why I don't trade futures, because I don't have the I don't know. I don't know if you want to call it knowledge or wherewithal or ability to set the right fills and stops, and I prefer my bread and butter is SPX. Okay, Oscar is failing a bit. So right, 713 is holding. That was our big level that we talked about. I think it pushes through and we get down to 6704. Okay, I think I'm about to get stopped on Oscar. My stop is at 2035, so a couple more cents and I'll get stopped. Which again, I'm okay with that. I'd rather set tight stops. Yeah, I got stopped on Oscar. Which is okay. Again, I'm not trying to get aggressively long here. Trying to take some opportunistic longs. And if it doesn't work out, so be it. Really, my main focus is this SPX trade. LDI kind of basing, building back up. You can see open. Let's see, Rocket, right? Rocket's not doing as well. It's still up 41 bips. Taking a look at premiums, calls are coming down quite a bit. So let's see if we can get our move. 1113 really needs to break, but you can see it's reclaiming it there. My stop might have been a little tight on Oscar, right? But I wanted 2050 to hold. It broke down. If it reclaims, I may even add back. It's a name that's going to move. I'm just trading a little bit softer right now as I wait for the market to tell me what it's going to do. For VIX, you can see that it failed here. It's 1933. Basically, VIX needs through 1933 to unlock more downside on SPX. Calls are starting to curl up a little bit, so we'll see what happens there. But so far, we're just kind of hovering, right? We're hovering. Bitcoin very weak, right? If you talk about, hey, how do I get signals if the market's doing well or not, if I should expect some upside, Bitcoin's a hard one to fully track as risk on, risk off sentiment, but it does provide some clues. And you can see kind of had this failed breakout. And it looks like it's breaking down quite a bit there. Honestly, some Bitcoin puts, I bet puts wouldn't be terrible. 112, 149 is key level. You can kind of see how important it is there. It's steadily climbing, right? On SPY. We can see VIX is also climbing here. So we're still, let's see, we're still break even on our puts. We did get 5 points, but with theta and everything and VIX, it's not giving us, huge return yet. Really, we need to see a quick drop down to 6704. Which again, I think it happens. I think it happens pretty soon. Okay, just taking a quick look at tick underlying buying and selling program. Dell looks pretty good here. HE looks pretty good too. Let me actually break this out a little bit more. So if HE can push through this level, reclaim the EMAs, not a lot of volume yet, but if it can kind of push through this high here, it's worth a look. Itron too. Itron's breaking out. These are just kind of boring names that aren't going to give you giant moves. These are actually better names to trade with options. Right? Because with options, it prices in all the moves, right? So it prices in, sorry, hold on one second. So yeah, with these boring names that don't move so fast, they're actually really good for options because if you can time a big move, then it can be quite fruitful. All right, calls curling up. Basically, you claim this 13 level, it's holding, and as long as it holds, we can make another shot up to 67.18. But I'm not. I still think we drop down quite a bit before we move back up and try for our 22 again. Google's breaking out. Amazon here at 215, not bad. Let's put it on the daily. I mean, it's actually a really bad chart, but maybe it's bottoming here at 215. So our puts are up a whopping 10% right now. We're really just waiting for the move. We need VIX above 1933 for it to happen. Oscar's toying with me, wants me to add it back. It's reclaiming this 2050 level, really, really important level. I keep looking at Itron. Itron definitely an interesting name. Yeah, this weekly chart looks pretty good actually. I don't think it gets much. Checking out the yeah, there's no option volume on it, so you have to trade shares, and it's too slow of a name for me to suck up buying power. All right, so we're up 15-20% now, right? We're looking for 6704 to take profit on half. Oh, sharing the wrong screen. Yeah, so you can see SPX is making our move right here. VIX is right at the key level. So what can happen is VIX might fail here, bounce down, and SPX makes another test back to 67.13. And then if VIX pops through, right? So there's your VIX drop, right? That we just talked about. But if VIX can pop through, this will start coming back down. Okay, right. So I mentioned VIX would fail 1933. We'd make a shot up to 67.13. And then the question is, does this hold or not? So continue kind of looking, seeing what we get, but looks like SPX wants to dive lower. Just gotta sit patiently and wait. VIX needs to push through 1933 in order for us to get the move. Look at Open Door Weekly. It looks really good. Open Door Weekly looks great. As long as it can continue hammering. All right, come on. All right, VIX is now making its move up. We're in the 6,700 puts and they're now at 840. We got in at 740, almost 10 points ago. But because we have theta working against us, we're not getting any juice in those premiums. Open, I'm up 3% on that open position. 1,600 bucks, not bad. Account's doing pretty good. Circle's weighing it down, but open is doing pretty fine. Just need it to hold, obviously. premium's kind of interesting, up and down, up and down. So yeah, let's see if it can properly fail here or not. But it does look weak. I'm going to update my stop on the SPX puts to 6.3 just because, we have a little bit more cushion and market is holding up okay. Yeah, market's strong. Okay. I'm going to bring it back down to 6. Should get some weakness here. That was a pretty good fail. Just got to sit patiently and wait. Let our stops work if they want to at 6. This is going to fail here. Getting weakness across my watch list, some of the names I added. If 713 fails again right here, I'm going to add to my shorts a little bit. Okay, I'm adding a 95 put in my small account for 630. And then I'm going to set a stop. For this one, I'm going to set a pretty aggressive stop at 5. There we go. There we go, finally. All right, so let's see if VIX can break through 1933, and we should get the full move. Wow, Oscar's nuking. Oscar at $20 looks good too, but obviously been a bit weaker. Premiums are looking good in our favor too. VIX is now poking through 1933. It's all starting to come together. We can see put premiums coming up. We should get a drill down. I don't know how aggressive it'll be, but it should be a decent drill down. And once we touch 6706-ish, where the 8 EMA is now starting to curl up to, I will start taking some profit. At least half of the 6,700 puts I'll exit. So right now, SPX is holding up on the 8 EMA, right? I want to see a push to 6704, but so far it's holding up. Gonna take a quick look at Oscar on the daily. I keep looking at this name. I really want to add it and I want to get back into it, but I keep getting paper cuts. Trying, right? 20 is a good level. 1972 is a good level. It got some pretty aggressive bull flow yesterday with, but it was more focused on earnings, right? So I had some time on the contracts. Okay, VIX failing 1933 and SPX is now holding the 8 EMA. If Oscar bounces here, I'm gonna, call me silly, but I'm gonna add again. I'm gonna try again. So a few things in terms of price targets, right? First, we want to see 6704 can scale out a little bit there. 97 should provide a pretty aggressive bounce. So if you don't sell at 6704, I would consider it at 6697. 91 also a big spot. Now, if all these fail, right, we're going to continue to head back down from my golden rule, which is 66.77. But honestly, it's 66.71. So in terms of like realistic downside target, I would look at 66.71 today as a realistic but stretch goal given where we're at right now. Yeah, VIX is moving in the right direction. Everything's moving in the right direction. I feel pretty good about this downside moving coming. Just kind of going quite slow. Now, what SPX can do, right? You see, tick is kind of it's not really weak, right? Tick is kind of basing there, and we're starting to get some buying under the hood. We're right at the 8 EMA, which, if you're not familiar with my trading style, that is one of the best indicators for trading SPX. Above the 8 EMA on the 10-minute is usually quite supportive for upside, and then below just signals weakness. It's not a guaranteed indicator, right? Sometimes we kind of mess around, we push above, and then it fails. But look at VIX here, right? VIX looks pretty good for puts. It's starting to climb. And we see our premiums are moving quite a bit. So the puts that we entered earlier are up 30%. We're pretty close to a trim level here. Okay. Okay, I'm scaling out of half at 1010. Okay, and then in my small account, I'm gonna have to take profit there just to be conservative. So I'm out at 930. All right, so now we can breathe a little bit, right? We got the move we wanted. We called it out. We sat patiently. We know that KASM cannot trade futures. He can trade options. That is my sweet spot. I tried to be cute with it, but it didn't work. So now I still have half my 6,700 position open. If you guys are in stream and not in the Discord, just let me know if you caught that trade with me. Give me some feedback. Was it fun? Was it scary? Did you enjoy it? Are you happy to be here? Yeah, if you're not in the Discord, just drop a note here and let me know if you're around and if you caught it. Remember, I'm still writing in half my 6,700 puts. It's not big size remaining, but gonna let that ride a little bit and see if we can get a little bit more, right? So target, the true downside target, right, would be 66.71. All right, so I'm not seeing any chat in YouTube. So that means nobody here is from X and not in the Discord. You guys, because I do this before, right? Like I look for some feedback, some sign of life, and if you don't give it to me, I cut off the Discord. Sorry, not the Discord. I cut off the YouTube stream. So you gotta give me some proof of life. I'll give it a minute. Okay, there we go. All right, Mike, you saved it. We're staying in. So Oscar here at 20 is interesting, right? For the half of the SPX puts I have open 6,700. Remember, oh, and I sold the 95. Sorry, I remember I kind of talked to you guys out loud. I was taking the 95 puts. I exited those at 9:30 from 6:30. Pretty good trade there. So now look, SPX looks pretty strong here. Pretty good bounce and a really strong tick. Hold on 1 second, guys. Hold on. Yeah, so tick really strong. I'm glad we exited there, but I still don't think this is going to fully bounce back. So let's see. I am tempted to touch the flame again with Oscar. But let's see. Circle, really good bounce there. All right, so for the second half of my SPX puts, I'm just going to set a stop at break even at 750 or a little. I'll get $10 per contract on the remaining, but I'm going to set a stop at 750 for the second half. But really good trade so far. And as I'm about to set the stop, I'm seeing premiums explode, so that means we're moving down, which is great. But let me, before I forget, I'm going to stop market. All right, so right, we're gonna see if we can get 71. Not sure if we'll get it. While we let that work, I'm gonna do some promo on X. I'm not looking at the tape, so hopefully nothing crazy is happening while I'm trying to post. All right, let me take a quick look. Okay, we're good. Good, good, good. Okay, let me finish this post. Sorry, give me a second. All right, I'm back. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna bounce at 6,700. Let's take a look at premiums. Premiums are looking like we can get more downside. We cleaned up on that trade. We just have our stops at break even. Oscar keeps staring at me. I'm probably gonna get so many paper cuts on this name. It's gonna deplete my account. I'm gonna go to zero. Um, I'm joking, but kind of not at this rate, given two paper cuts, one yesterday and one today. Oh, look at this. Okay, so you guys want to know how to catch names? Look at that volume on Loan Depot. That is definitely interesting for me. That is definitely interesting. If it can pop through this EMA here, definitely has my attention. But I like that volume there. Yeah, open door showing some good relative strength. So the runners are now at $13 from 740. Look at VIX, guys. Look at VIX. Continues to climb higher. Now, here's a question, right? Do you take this as a sign that we're gonna fail the EMAs and you swing short? You know, maybe, but still a little premature. Let's take a look at premiums, right? It's looking decent, holding where it needs to. All right, so Oscar, let's see. Let's see. Yeah, just so yeah, out of most of the trade, basically you can go and like go to the beach and touch grass. I think for me, I just want to see if my runner can keep running, have my stop at break even. Trading definitely a much more conservatively and yeah, just conservatively than I would on other days, and that's just because SPX has been a little harder with the elevated premiums. Knox is looking great. I had this name, and on Friday, like, oops, on Friday I sold so much stuff, and I'm uh, it's not because I'm a perma bear. It's just I wanted to protect some capital. But Knox is getting a good gap and good move. I'm not going to chase it there, but for anybody who stays, turning out to be a good trade. Tick is actually quite strong, so this 6,700 level can hold, and if it does, it could provide some meaningful upside to SPX. But let's see. I still think the runners can work. They're still at $11. So, still very healthily in profit. Don't need to worry about them going down in value, right? We have our stop. All right, so I'm looking for a clue to short some of these names, which honestly is half retarded. Shorting these Momo names will surely make you lose money, but there will be a time where it turns out to be a pretty good trade. Like RGTI, this might be it, right? You have this big reversal, could turn into a bearish engulfing candle and can just continue to climb down, especially if this is, if I'm right about my hunch that this is all a bull trap and everybody's about to get hosed, which I will caveat very strongly, not super high conviction there, right? Like, then you're going to start seeing weakness in some of these Momo names like Oklo, RGTI. They're going to start, a lot of wins going to come out of them. But shorting this is honestly, it's a brain dead activity. So I'm just checking this account. The open ads were pretty good. I mean, I owned them. I owned it yesterday, so I could have just held, but that's pretty good. Circle is unfortunately eating away at some of those profits, but pretty good still. All right, so for right, tick was strong. Let's take a look at premium. Okay, premiums are getting strong. Right, big test here, 8 EMA. So you want to talk about the power of the 8 EMA. This is what we got to look at, right? 8 EMA right here and a big level. Usually that sets up for a failure. So let's test this theory about the 8 EMA being a really good indicator. Again, don't need to get scared about puts. Have our stop. Oscar continues to beg me to buy it, and let's take a look at premiums. Oh, let's go open. Let's go open. Look at open. Open's climbing now. Pretty good there. All right, so big test here. If this doesn't fail down, we're going to get a good upside reversal in SPX. Tick is strong. Premiums are looking better. Still failing, right? See that quick fail of the EMA there. Trevor, I just saw your note. 10 minutes is preferred for me. I don't know. It's just what I'm used to. For SPX, I like it because the SPX, I always look at 10, and I look at it across the board, either 10 weekly or daily. Sometimes I do the 5-minute here and there, but 10 is just my preference, and I notice it works best for my trading style, just what I like visually, what I'm used to. But then also the 8 EMA, for me, is my preferred indicator on SPX. Okay, so now you can see that moving around. I actually stopped trading on my monitor 2 weeks ago, and I just bounce around my house. So I just use a laptop, and it works out quite well. But look at that. You can kind of see the proof in the pudding with the 8 EMA there and a big level. So when those line up, usually it faces some resistance. It doesn't mean we can't push through, but some resistance. Give me 2 minutes. I need to go to the bathroom really quick. All right, so there you go. You see that big failure there? That is exactly what we talked about, AEMA being pretty important. Let's see, circle, I'm probably going to get stopped out. I think I set my stop at 137. So let's see. I'll just let the stop work. Yeah, 137 is my stop. And I'm glad I didn't chase Oscar. Having a sense of market direction or just being risk on off helps you avoid some errors. Circle was an error, but not as bad. Astro, I just saw. That is hilarious. All right, so now we're chilling, right? Just chilling, watching to see if we can get our full move on SPX, which would provide a pretty significant return. Yeah, RGTI keeps moving. This might be, a clue. This is a pretty good. Let me take a look at RGTI premiums. I might join in the brain dead activity. Man, IV is 270%. I mean, that is insane, insane, insane. Like, okay, I wanted to join. I'm not taking that. I'm not taking that. IREN on the other end, I might take that. CIFR. IREN probably could see $50 soon if we get some real market weakness. So let me take a look at the premiums on IREN. Okay, IREN not as brain dead is 133% premiums, but this can be good. So look, the runners I have left on the 6,700 puts are flying. They're at 14. I'm not gonna take profit yet, right? I already have my profit. I'm okay if they break even. I'm really looking to maximize this return. All right, if Circle stops me out, I don't need to watch it. I have my yeah, I ran this can be a pretty good short. It's just yeah, it is kind of brain dead. But but I don't know. I kind of want to join in the fun. I think, if I'm right and this market's about to lose some wind, yeah, look at this. This is great. This is great. 18 on our puts. Premiums are just screaming right now. Screaming. No, there's no look, obviously 91 should bounce, but there's no reason to sell yet. No reason to sell yet. If we're right about this being a bull trap, um, there's no reason to sell. This can work quite well. Look at VIX exploding. Everything's moving. Yeah, this is great. Yeah, we're at $20 in the premiums. I'm gonna wait. Like, I should roll it. Oh, what do I do? What do I do? I think I'm gonna trade the plan. I'm gonna trade the plan. I think I'm gonna take it at 81 if we can see that. But I'm a little tempted to roll it. I'm just okay, now I'm not watching the chart, I'm just watching premium. VIX keeps moving up. I keep wanting to sell. I got my finger. Oh wow, premiums here. This is great. All right, so I got my finger on the trigger to sell, but I'm I'm basically if it goes so this is not a good way to trade, but if it goes down to 20, I'm gonna take profit. Otherwise, I'm gonna see this rip through. Okay, I think I got stopped on circle. Yeah, I got stopped on circle. All good there. Okay, look at SPX move. Okay, premiums are exploding. All right, I'm taking profit. I'm just, good. That's good enough. Let's see what I got. 24.10, baby. There we go. All right. We are back. That was good. That was a good trade. I know it was a little uncomfortable. Actually, it wasn't uncomfortable. It was just slow at first, right? Now, I'll admit I'm a little impatient selling there, but so what's that return? That's 225%. Okay. I can stay on stream, but honestly, the move is taking place. If you, right, like I sold because you can see this, actually, let me point. You can see this wick here. It's like, I don't need to squeeze every last penny out of it. That was good enough. 225% was good enough for me. And also, I think I proved to you guys, I don't know how to trade futures, right? Like options, flawless execution on all fronts, in my opinion. Futures, I didn't know what I was doing. So anyway, it might sound funny. I can trade options, but not futures. You're like, no, you probably can't trade both. Well, I just proved to you I can't trade futures and I can trade options. So kind of a funny juxtaposition, if you will. But anyway, I think I'm going to cut the stream. This was good. I will, if you're not in the Discord, we do these streams 2 to 3 times a week. I'm going to make them more regular, actually. But consider joining us. Ping me on X if you have any questions. And then everybody else in the Discord, I'll see you guys there. Later.